And we are live. And how beyond incredible was that video? Oh my goodness, like literally sitting here, I have goosebumps with just how phenomenal that footage was. Welcome, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome back to the Art of Photography. To those who don't know me, if this is your first time joining, my name is Meghan McCabe and I'm a full-time photographer, videographer, and photographic instructor. So I started the Art of Photography as a chance to chat to fellow creatives, to inspire, and to just build community within the photographic industry. So this is our second one. Our first one was with Jared van Bergen. It is on my Facebook page, so definitely go have a look if you are interested in aviation photography. So before we chat to our incredible guest, whose video footage that you saw at the intro of this, I just quickly wanted to run through some of my upcoming photographic workshops. So I just want to grab my images, which I'm hoping will actually display properly this time. If you were on the last one, you would have seen that they were being very, very misbehaving. Wait, where are we? Right, so we do that. It wouldn't be a live if we didn't have some level of technical problem. Right here. All right. So my first upcoming workshop is on the 21st of February, and it is a intro into portraiture. So basically, this is for photographers who want to get into shooting portraits, but have no idea where to even start. How do you go into planning a shoot? How do you go into planning a thought process to what you want to get out of that shoot? How do you go into getting contact with models, into figuring out what venue? All of these elements come into it. And then the actual shoot. How do you talk to your model? This is something that a lot of photographers battle with in a very, very big way. So it is a natural light workshop. So that is on the 21st of Feb. 22nd of Feb. Oh, wait, I actually had other photos to show you. So these are all natural light photos. Ironically, this is my gorgeous sister-in-law. All done with natural light. So basically teaching you how to kind of put all of the thought process together and create incredible portraits with natural light. Right, then on the, I don't have a photo for this one. On the 22nd of February, we have the next session of coffee, cameras, and cake. So this is, we host this at the Secret Tea Garden, which is at Northcott Manor in Fourways. And basically this is a chance for creatives to get together and chat. Very often we isolate ourselves as creatives. We kind of sit in our own little bubble, kind of busy with our own little projects, and we don't actually get to share and get other people's input in our businesses and in our lives. So that is the coffee, cameras, and cake, 22nd of Feb. And then on the 28th of Feb, I'm just going to get the right actual visual. Oh, and then the computer's doing its thing again. The 28th of February, I have my next motocross photography workshop. Let's get the right screen. So basically this, how I host these workshops is we have an online session the Friday before the event, chatting about all of the theory that goes into creating images like this. Obviously, we definitely cover panning, which is a very key element when it comes to shooting any type of motorsport, and images like this. Obviously, I cannot predict whether the skies are going to look that dramatic. We can definitely hope. So that is on the 28th of February. It is my motocross photography workshop, and that is at Terratopia. So that is in Midrand-ish, I think, if I can remember correctly. Then on the 4th of March, we have a really, really cool initiative that we started last month, or this month. Wait, where are we? We're still in Feb. Okay, started this month with Outdoor Photo, and that is our Women's Wednesday. And my computer has just done its thing where it freezes again. Fantastic. Give me one moment while I try and get it to actually work again. The joys of technology. So our Women's Wednesday, we host at Outdoor Photo in Fourways. This is at their new shop. I'm going to just do that for now. Right. So basically, it is a chance for female creatives to come out and to chat. And the last one was absolutely incredible. Just hearing other female creators telling us about their story, about their lives, and about what they actually want to create is beyond incredible. So that is on the 4th of March. And then, last but not least, the next one of these, the next one or next version of the Art of Photography will be on the 11th of March. And stay tuned until the end of this one to hear who our next guest is. Very, very exciting stuff. So if you're keen to learn or to know more about any of my photographic workshops, or if you want to join my WhatsApp group, which is specifically for photographers, just send me a message. All right, so those are some of my events that are coming up, some of the exciting things that I have planned for the rest of February going into March. But now we come to the most important part about tonight, and that is to welcome Zaheer. All right, so I'm just going to add you to the stage, and I'm just going to remove my photo for now, and I'm going to unmute you. All right, good evening, Zaheer. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, Megan. Thank you so much for having me, and obviously choosing me as the second person to join your Art of Photography. I'm honored. I think we've been following each other and known each other for some time, so thank you so much for having me.
You know, the ironic part is the fact that we actually have never actually met in person. So we've been having conversations on and off about random stuff, and then I'll comment on his photo, and then he'll comment on my photo, and we've never actually met in person, which makes this even more hilarious. But It just kind of shows again that connection between creatives.
I think so. You hit the nail on the head there. We create a community online that we build relationships with, follow their work, understand their styles, learn from. It motivates you to sort of be better at your craft. It's an amazing community, tough community at times, but obviously things like this show that we have a good side as well.
It is. It very much is. And it's about that community. It's about, again, showing that we can be in so many different genres, and you can even be in the same genre, but you can work together and build each other up versus feeling like sort of everybody is a competition. I do very much feel that the industry in South Africa is very much, and I think it's because of our economy and how dodgy our economy can be, everybody kind of, it's my work, it's my opportunity, versus kind of growing together and going, okay, well, if we put our minds together, how much more can we do?
Yeah, 100%. I think, there's a lot of challenges, like you said, economy-wise, or maybe, South Africa gets sort of like a bad rap, or so to say, but I think the community has grown tremendously, on platforms like Instagram, Facebook. Guys that are using it to the right way, to their advantage. I mean, I started my photography journey through Instagram, that sort of like, put me on the map. And I appreciate, programs like that or places like that allows us to share what we enjoy, what we're passionate about.
Absolutely. That is key. Absolutely key. And then it also gives us, it gives a chance to kind of show a different perspective as well. I think that's what I love about specifically wildlife photography is you can follow 6 different photographers. They can be shooting in the same sort of area, but their work will be so different. You can basically be inspired by all of them.
100%.
Just a quick one. I see that we have 17 viewers, which is absolutely fantastic. Please drop some comments. This makes it a lot easier when people actually comment, when they ask questions, tell us where you're watching from. But asking questions and just interacting with us kind of lets us know that we're not alone.
Yeah,
it helps.
I think so. That'll be nice. Welcome to the 17 people that are watching live. Hopefully more will join as we go along. So please, drop any questions, any comments. I'm sure there's a lot of fans of Meghan out there with her amazing motorsport stuff and underwater mermaid stuff. So please drop comments there.
I might be showing through my photography that I have a little bit of ADD where I'm like, ooh, that looks pretty. I want to photograph that. Ooh, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to. It definitely, I think a lot of times people kind of look at my Instagram and are like, chick, can you please just choose one genre? Can you please just kind of like settle on one thing? And the honest answer is no. That would be boring.
But that's photography, I mean, obviously, as we dive into the questions, we start off at some point and we always end up at another point. But to get us to where we are right now, we had to go through the, either portraits or cityscapes or whatever it is, and to land up at wildlife. So I think photography really opens up your creativity to so much more.
It does. And from my experience, I've kind of learned that as I go into each genre, you'll learn specific things that you wouldn't think would kind of connect, but how those then kind of connect and make you a better photographer that is a big factor for me. I mean, I gave a talk at a photographic club a while ago, where I literally was talking about how my motorsport career, because I mean, that's where I started, has impacted my wildlife photography just in terms of speed, predictability, being able to change camera settings quickly, being aware of what's happening around you. So I think that kind of does play a very big impact. But I think what you said about kind of finding your feet and figuring out your different genres helps a heck of a lot as well.
Yeah, 100% on the spot there, Megan.
Awesome. All right, shall we go into all of these questions? We've got like 6 million pages of questions for you. My goodness.
No pressure. I'll try my best.
Fantastic. Okay. First of all, we've got quite a few highs. So we've got Donna Cato. Donna's the mermaid lady. She's the reason why I'm doing underwater photography. She is the lady who designs all of the mermaid tails that you have seen on my profile. Beyond phenomenal stuff. Adele, good evening. Aisma, I hope I'm saying your name right. Good evening. Nigel, Rudolph, Sasha, good evening. She's listening from Rand Park Ridge, just down the road from us. Well, from me in any case. Tesnim, good evening. Michael, Rion, and Peter says, well done, Megs. Thank you. I don't know what I did well, but okay. Thank you very much, Peter. Clifford Else, Adele, and Aisama says, and I'm going to show it on the screen because I know I'm going to butcher the names. I'm so sorry. There we go. All right. So thank you guys for the comments. Like I said, it really makes it a lot easier.
We got some fans in the comments.
Yes. It always makes it easier, kind of knowing that you're not just, and I mean, when I used to do these by myself, kind of staring into the camera and you're like, is this interesting? Have I made half the people fall asleep type situation?
Yeah. I think that's a good point that you bring up. Sorry, just before you carry on, and I think it's important because, putting yourself out there is very important because these are it looks easy, but at the same time there is difficulty because you always question yourself, and photography is like that as well, where you say what is the public going to say, but obviously doing things like this, putting yourself out there, talking about what you're passionate about, you never know who's watching and might choose a career later on in life based on a guide or underwater photographer or whatever it may be, something nature related versus where the person was thinking of becoming a doctor or whatever it is. And through my time in the photography space, I've seen that, where people see your photos and they're inspired by it just to become a guide. So yeah, I think that's
it's very much, I agree completely. It's a very, very big thing as to just, you never know who's actually watching. They might not comment, they might not, they might not interact with you, but you have no idea who you are inspiring from the sidelines. And that for me is a very big, very, very big, very important part of my photography. And just coming back to what you've said now, it's actually come up in quite a few conversations that I've been having with photographers lately, where social media has kind of boxed us in a little bit of an aspect in terms of our photography, because very often we feel like we're not succeeding if we're not getting the likes, if we're not getting the interaction that we want on our posts. We're like, oh, okay, I'm posting this photo. And I mean, the honest truth is we're all emotionally connected to our photos. We're artists. So we're immediately like, oh, we feel our photos. So then we post them and then we don't get the likes. And then we're like, oh, okay, like our confidence goes down. So I think key factor, again, is what you're saying is just showing up, just carrying on doing what you love. It doesn't matter about the likes.
100%.
Awesome. Okay, so first question. What first drew you to photography and how has your inspiration evolved?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. Good point to start on. I don't know. I think my journey into photography was very basic in a sense, where I was always the guy. I was like designated photographer at a wedding, at a family wedding, family function. There's always a camera lying around. Okay, give it to Zaheer, let him take the photo because he's the most active guy, hyperactive, running around doing his thing. So just give him the camera, let him do his thing. And at the time, obviously, I mean, 10, 11, 12, maybe younger, you're just pointing and shooting, and you're not thinking photography. You're just thinking, hey, I've got to get a photo here. There's no thought process behind it. But now when you sit and think about it, that's what sort of groomed you to where you are, to understand the basics, to understand composition, which I'm very big on. Just to understand what you're looking through, it creates that thought process, the creativity when looking through the viewfinder. I always say that I'm a bipolar person. When I'm looking through the viewfinder, I'm a completely creative person, and then sometimes when you're not, when you just carry on with your day, you're just looking at everything in black and white. So yeah, I think that's where it started, always had a camera in hand. And not only that, it's just like, I played soccer when I was younger. So, again, designated photographer, going to Sun City, you're the photographer, or you got a toy camera here or a GoPro there as the time went on. And I think that's what sort of kept me engaged in the space of photography, not realizing where it's going to take me today. But I think everything changed once Instagram came out. Because I used to post on Facebook, whatever, but not realizing what you're posting for. And then when Instagram came out, that was like the light bulb moment, like, okay, now I'm posting to the masses.
Yeah.
So I have to have some sort of dignity to my photos. I need the likes, I need the comments. And I think we spoke the other day, and you said something about the free course with Nikon or whatever, and like I had this Nikon that my dad bought from Macro for I think he bought it from Macro, and it came with the free course, and it's been lying there for like a year or two, and I said, okay, let me now get to Nikon, let me see where's this course, just to understand what am I doing,
Yeah.
why am I pushing this button, why is the flash popping up automatically. What does this green auto mean? What's the M stands for? What am I doing here?
How many buttons here? It's like all of the buttons on the camera, like which do I push next? What, like, yeah. I remember those stages.
Yeah. So there wasn't like anyone specific. My dad was into photography, but like, it wasn't like he sat us down and said, right, this is photography. It's like the camera is a line around there. You just pick it up and do whatever you need to do with it. So he shot with like Minolta and Konica, and then it went into a Nikon D3100. And
Hey, that's the camera I started with.
Yeah, I think most of us started with. Obviously, you had your point and shoots before that, like Sony's or whatever it was at the time, with a little screen at the back and the pop-out lens. Then D3100 went to Nikon, did the course. And that, like, whoa, I was blown away. Now the guys are talking about aperture and manual, and like, whoa, this is kind of cool now, and yeah, I think that really took the interest now to the next level. Like, I can do something with this camera. I can become creative. I can tell stories through this camera. And okay, so I'm born and bred in Johannesburg. There's definitely wildlife running around, but the wildlife you want to stay away from. But
yes, big time.
Never start in wildlife. So, there's more like people and portraits. And, I'm not sure if you remember when Instagram like really took a hit, took the numbers quite high. People were having these Insta meets, and they were calling it Insta meets and whatever it was called at the time. And for me, that was
I remember those.
It was insane. It was really cool because you got to meet other people, other photographers, and people that were like posting actively on social media. And they always had this creativity of whatever the trends were at the time and the hashtags. And for us, it was just getting out to meet other people that we sort of looked up to in that space. And I think that's a good thing. It's always nice to have someone to look up to and reach out to them and learn from them and understand what they're doing. How can I be better, or how can I get to that level? And, obviously looking back, I still keep all my photos, and I always look back, and, at the time it looked, the watermark, funny enough, my watermark is in the background. Now it's my business, but the watermark was better than the photo and was bigger than the photo. That's when you're dealing with like an amateur upcoming, because it's not a bad thing. We laugh at it now, and we're laughing at ourselves because it's funny, because at the time it's like, whoa, someone's going to steal this photo. It's mine, But
I
trust me,
legit,
nobody's going to steal that photo.
no,
You
I
know,
legit, I remember coming back from a Kruger trip, and I mean, it was when I had my Nikon D3100, and there was a photographer just like a block away from me, and I wanted his opinion on these photos, and I sent them to him, and I still had this massive watermark on them, and I was like, shoot, I really hope this photographer doesn't steal my photos.
exactly.
And I look at them now, and I'm like, what?
You
What was
probably,
I?
yeah, it's the last photos you wanted to steal. But that's the
Exactly.
passion. That's where the passion starts. You know, it
Yeah.
shows that you are in love with what you do because you
Yeah.
protecting it. So at the time, yeah, I mean, you know, you put in these big watermarks and all these type of things, but you know, it's where the passion started.
Yeah.
Um, you know, being out in the streets of Johannesburg, meeting with like-minded people. Um, yeah, and that's where the fun and games started, you know, like, and it
I
went
remember
from like,
those.
you know, someone telling you buy a 35 mil,
Yes.
1.8, and you're like, okay, I'm going to buy it because this person is telling me he knows what he's doing. Um, and not knowing why you're buying a 1.8, you know, because you see this fancy poker, you don't even know what poker means. You just see all these hashtags and you see all these things. So I'm glad that I started my photography journey like that, you know, learning from people, learning from being on the ground, walking the streets of Johannesburg, you know, waking up at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning to go to the Midrand Turkish mosque to get that sun coming up, you know, behind
Yeah.
the mosque, and people are up early, you know, doing crazy things because they enjoy. Firstly, it's the community that they build in,
Yeah.
and also you sort of developing your craft without even knowing you're doing that, and you're learning. You know, like you borrow a tripod here, or you know, you borrowing a lens there, you hire it. Now you start to realize, shoot, I can hire equipment. Cool, I don't need to go invest in this, you know, thousands and thousands of rand. So that's how you start learning about the industry, you know, from people that are learning at the same time.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I always look at it and I wish I could go back, you know, and be that amateur again, because like I'm
It
not
was
saying,
refreshing.
yeah, it is very, now when I sit and think about it, it is more fun. Like now
It
it's
was.
fun, but at the same time there's a lot of pressure you put on yourself.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
but
That is a huge
yeah,
factor. Sorry. When I talk to photographers, when they're like, "Oh, I want to push and become a full-time photographer," I'm always like, "Just be warned that it does change your passion. It does change your thought process when it comes to shooting, because even if you aren't on a job, that pressure is always there, because now you've set your standard really high. So now each time you shoot, you're obviously wanting to get to that standard.
100%. Yeah. So yeah, I
So
think
it's
to
a huge
conclude on
factor.
that question, it's more, you know, that's what inspired me to get to where I am. Yeah, I mean, obviously the journey went on to, I mean, I've managed to get like a, what was it, a 150, 600 mil lens.
Yeah.
Um, you know, that was like in 2014, if I remember. Um, and then obviously, I mean, shooting like a little bit of sport but I mean, I think I'll just rewind it a bit, because I'm sure you're going to show a photo of one of the lightning shots that I took, and I think that's a key
Yes,
part of my journey in photography. It being in Johannesburg, you know, we have the best thunderstorms
we do.
by
There's
far.
no doubt about it.
You know, so we used to like, well, I want to say we, but mostly me. I used to like, you know, I used to follow storms. I used to watch the weather. I used to do things that normally, you know, a guy at my age shouldn't be doing, you know. And, you know, driving around Johannesburg, making friends with the security guards at, you know, like in buildings in Johannesburg, which is, you
Yes,
know, a touch and go. But
very
we
much.
built a relationship with these guys. Listen, can we go to the top of the building? And we're watching the storm coming from the south of Joburg. You know, we high up, you know, at the mills. I don't know if you know the mills in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
You know, so the point of view is really amazing. And you're standing on top of this building. You got the entire cityscape of Johannesburg. You got a massive storm coming your way. You know, you only got about 15, 20 minutes before it comes to you. So you got to, and then the lift is not working 90% of the times. So you're going up this spiral stairs of like, I don't know, 30, 40 floors or whatever it may be.
Oh my
So by the
soul.
time you get to the top, you got camera gear, you got a tripod, you sweating, you're hoping that you never miss the storm. So yeah, get to the top of the building, and you know everything changes. It's just peace. You get into your zone, you get your settings right, you practicing, you make sure you know all that you now learned, you putting it into practice. And I think that's what changed me as a photographer is, you know, shooting lightning, understanding the concept of the composition, what's coming your way, reading the, you know, the environment, so to say.
Yes.
I think that's important for photographers to understand is to own their skill. You know, there'll always be people more skillful than you, but
Yeah.
you know, you want to get to the level of where you're comfortable with your gear, with yourself, you know, without even looking at the camera, you're changing settings, for
Your
example. So
settings.
I think that was a big part of my journey of understanding the camera better. And there's a lot more. And then obviously I went into wildlife photography just around 2014. Yeah, so I think that's sort of my startup in the industry. And yeah, I mean, the story carries on more into the wildlife part of it. But I don't know if there's another part of the question, or we can
No,
get to.
no. I always think that it's kind of a nice setup to kind of start with where you started, because very often if you walk into the industry, and especially for anybody who's on here that is new to the industry, it's so daunting, it's so terrifying. And then it kind of looks like everybody else knows what they're doing. They're just carrying on, they're just shooting what they want to shoot. They're kind of like they come across as experts in the industry. So I think very much taking it back to our roots, chatting about where we started, how we started to grow, helps a heck of a lot with just also showing that everybody starts somewhere. You know, we all have, and this is where I love Facebook for the memory side of things, because going back to what you posted, you're reminded that, wow, I was a really bad photographer initially, and the reality is we all are, but it just kind of makes you suddenly go, oh, wait, actually, I've grown a heck of a lot. Like it's this massive reminder that you're like, actually, I'm not doing too bad type thing. And I think
Yeah,
very much we need that.
I love those
Um,
Facebook reminders.
yes, absolutely. Like I lost my Facebook when I got back off the ship in 2024. I lost access to it for quite a while. And that was the only thing that I was really bleak about. I was like, I really love my Facebook reminders as to what I was doing 4 or 5 years ago. It's so interesting to kind of see and then go, oh, wow, we forgot about those moments. So I think it's very, very key. All right. So here, run us through this image. My first question is it photoshopped? Or was this shot as is, and then you just obviously converted the background to white? Run us through yours.
So, no, yeah, looking at the image, you know, it tells a story. I think
It
that's
does.
important for someone that's listening that wants to get into photography or is already in photography and wants to, you know, get more creative. I think you want to tell a story. I think of it as journalism, you know, that's what photography is. You're telling a story through your lens, through your composition, through your sort of like mindset. You want to get people intrigued.
Yes.
So like this was shot in an underground hide. These zebras were like a couple of meters from us,
Oh
like
man.
2-3 meters. So they were very close. Um, so obviously, you know, firstly, zebras are extremely skittish around water. If you know animal behavior, zebras are very skittish around water. And now you can imagine you've got this little pond of, this little pond, and then you got this opening, and there's like some random dudes looking at you, and there's cameras, setups, and so on. So you gotta watch your breathing literally in that moment. You gotta, watch your chair movement, your camera movement. I think
What's
if I
your
remember,
excitement?
yeah, exactly. So firstly, your excitement of this, like, of the zebras in this incident, it's like, they took about, and people will think I'm over exaggerating, but they took at least 45 minutes to come and drink.
Oh
So
my
they were
goodness.
around the water. So every time they came close, they ran away. They came closer, something spooked them. They came closer, they put their mouth down, they ran away. So, and that's already been in an underground hide for like the whole day, for example. Um, So obviously patience. But then, I had a zoom lens on. I couldn't change my lenses because now they decided to come and drink at that time. So in that moment, you got to come up with creativity. Like you can shoot
Yeah.
them head on. I mean, I have so much photos from this scene, but obviously this is what I felt tells a cool story, because what is happening? How did you get so close to these animals? Why, like, did you just copy and paste, or why are they so close, or how did you
Yeah.
get so close? So
Yes.
that's where so you start thinking out of the box. You can obviously like see the focus is more on my right, the eye versus the one on the left, being that's where your sort of depth of field, with maybe I think I had a 300 mil or whatever it was at the time. It's probably cropped as well, slightly cropped the image. So sitting and playing around on Lightroom, seeing what can I do with this image? You got a blue sky, you got this black and white animal, you got this orange eyes, sort of that's quite a lot of shadows on it. So that's where the creativity starts obviously when you're in the moment, and then in that moment you think, okay, post, um, the moment, what am I going to do with this in the editing software that you're using, either Photoshop or Lightroom. I use Lightroom 99% of the time. So sitting in and trying different things, cropping it, and what obviously you can select the sky and black and white it and really blow it up like this, and it really worked in that moment. So I cropped it to the point of where the eyelashes tell a story. They almost touch in, and it's just like sort of like that leading lines coming into sort of a lot of negative space sort of in the middle, yet it's not so much negative space because they're so close to each other.
It's absolutely
So
captivating. I
that's
think that's
basically the story behind it.
that's awesome. That's absolutely incredible. I love the image. I think it's so cool. I'm also obsessed with photographing zebras, but also photographing them in black and white. I absolutely love photographing zebras and converting to black and white. All right. Next question. How would you describe your photography style, and how is it uniquely yours?
Sure. Photographic style, I think. I've built a good composition style, or like a good eye for certain things.
Yes.
I love getting inspired by photographers out there like like Villiers Stein, Andrew Beck, guys like from Tusk. There's so many more. I'm just mentioning names that are coming to my head. Shooting animals in the environment, watching their style. There's so much more photographers that I can mention, but as we mentioned earlier, is being present in a sense of like around people and learning from them,
Yes.
and creating your own style from it. So it's such a difficult question to answer, because it almost feels like you blow in your own horn and you don't want to do that, but yet
Yeah.
people outside will tell you, oh my god, you got such a good eye for photography and your photos are so amazing, and then you look at it and you're like, I could have done better. I should have
But
I should have done this, or I should have cropped it a little bit more, or why is this here, or I could have done this, or why did I focus on this part of the leopard? Like, so you're always
I think
critiquing
that,
yourself.
yes, that doubt is always there. That doubt is always like, you literally are always going, okay, was this good enough? And you post it and everyone's like raving about it. And you're like, you can see every single flaw.
And I think that's what keeps us going. It's a
Yes,
good thing and a bad thing.
it is.
It's most of the time a bad thing because you need to enjoy your photos as well.
Yeah.
And when you look at like the pros that have been doing this for so many years, their confidence in their work, you can see. But I'm sure deep inside they have some sort of like, I could have done this better, But from the outside, that's what they portray it to be, and
Yeah.
confidence in it. So yeah, coming back to the question, I think just try and my style is like, try and be as creative as possible, and
Yes.
try and tell a story through the image, versus just pointing and shooting. The reality is that with the technology today, the fast shutter speeds, the camera doing a lot of the work, you can get carried away, and I still do. I still get carried away by, even if it's an Impala, for example, and the Oxpecker is doing something cool on it. Like, I can get carried away and take like 1,000 photos just at an Impala. Then I come back home and I'm like, I regret
Yes.
999 of those photos. But the
That
one
moment
photo
that you're
that you
like,
take,
yes.
it's good enough. But obviously, as you go, as you grow, and as you build, and as you understand, your style, you know where to draw the line, in that sense, and when to take out the camera, whether you're hosting guests or not hosting guests, in my case. So I think creativity, if I have to put it into one word, try and be as creative as possible. That would well suit my style of photography.
Yes.
I think I still have a lot to learn. I have a lot to grow in the industry. And yeah, I think I've I've built a good understanding of wildlife photography, and building the style around that of, just being as creative as possible and try and tell a story. I
Yes.
think you showed an image just now. Maybe
Yes. I
you can
watched
bring that up
this
while I
guy
talk.
because
But
this is just, it's magnificent. It's absolutely flipping magnificent.
thanks, I appreciate that. So like a photo like this, we were sitting, well deep into the bush. You can see the grass in the back. We literally in the bush. Um, and the story behind this image is like, we found a warthog, like a dead warthog, just randomly in the bush. No leopard, nothing. And then we just said, let's hang around and see, if anything comes. And funny enough, a leopard came strolling along, and we were, because the warthog is dead, so we went. The guide went as close to it as possible just to assess the area. After checking around, no cats. So we were very close to literally this warthog, and obviously the warthog wasn't going anywhere. So then
For
this
once.
leopard literally came out of nowhere, and snuffing it. Now this leopard was like centimeters from us almost. So now, like, to move the vehicle in it, so we said, let's give it space. And obviously in the Sabi sands, these animals are somewhat habituated, and these type of things. So, but anyway, he didn't really show any interest. So he went like a bit of distance from us, and it was the time of the day where they were still dew, from the night before or from the morning. So this wasn't even rain. This was like dew on the leaves of the trees that was close by and literally next to the leopard. Um, I was guiding a trip, so the guest, we pushed forward so that the guests have a better view of the leopard. So I was like, literally, my head was almost in a tree, so I had no like view of the leopard. But in that moment, while I'm telling the guests, choose the settings, obviously the leopard is not going anywhere, don't take too many photos, whatever it may be. And then in that moment, only from my perspective, I picked up this sort of, like I said, this feels like I was looking through the viewfinder just to, gauge what's happening with the leopard. And I saw this image. So from being in the most, worst seat on the vehicle, somewhat getting the best shot. And then we moved, across to let the guests get it and so on. So obviously I just took a test shot, literally took a test shot with the idea in my mind, and this is how it came out. So yeah, it's about just moving the focus onto the leopard, shooting at f2.8, obviously. So yeah, that's basically it. It's just that
Incredible.
being in that moment
Yes.
and trying your best to get the best shot.
But
So
also seeing something different, not just, I mean, most of us would have kind of, oh, leopard. So we focused on the leopard. We're not actually seeing the bigger picture of what is around us that can add to that photo.
the environment is very important, and just to
Yes.
see how you can incorporate it, depending on what gear you have on at the moment, whether it's a zoom lens or a super, whatever it may be. So I think that's important to understand your gear, what it's capable of doing, and you can produce images like this. Obviously edited well, not over edited. Bringing out the shadows of the leopard, you can see that. Well, we can pick that up, and yeah, just making sure that the image tells a story. So yeah, I
It's
like I
incredible.
like I like posting stuff that where people tell me it's AI, because that I take that as a compliment, because the photo is so good that it could be
So good.
fake.
Yes. My mom and I were literally just having that conversation outside when we were talking about your rhino image, which will come up just now. And she was like, I dare to ask him if it's AI. And I'm like, I know for a fact that it's not, but it's so good that it pretty much could be. It's like, I get that completely. Then just coming back to something that you said in this trip that you were guiding. How many shots have you missed when you were guiding? And how frustrating is it?
Well, I think um, it does feel frustrating when you're younger. When I say sort of like upcoming in the industry, um, and I'm fairly new to the industry compared to what other guides and other guys are doing and have been in the industry. But I'm long enough in it to understand where I fit in which lane. And I think while I bring that up, it's important to I'm big on this. I'm really big on this. Is stay in your lane
Yeah.
and be proud to stay in your lane. Don't try and overshoot yourself. You don't need to be in the fast lane if you're still upcoming. You'll get there. And I think that's what a lot of creatives want to do, is they want to jump the gun. Like I'll give you a typical example. It's like a lot of people will come to me and say, "Why don't you like when are you publishing a book? Everyone else is doing it." It's like I can, but I'm not in that lane as yet. I want to stay in my lane. When I'm ready
Yeah.
to do that, I know I'll be ready to do that. But that's not my focus right now, because I'm respecting other people within that space. I will get there when it's time to get there. Um, so yeah, I think that's very important in the space that what we do is
Mm.
hosting safaris or hosting photographic workshops, or where your guests are with you. They are the most important thing. They are the most important
They
subject.
are.
They are
Yeah.
the most important aspect of the trip. And don't get me wrong, you'll see it online. We live in a time where there's people air their opinions,
Mm.
you know, wildly on social media, and they have a right to. But I love reading comments and understanding people's mindset
Psyche.
behind
Yes.
why. It's crazy, because you can call them keyboard warriors, but at the same time, it's important to understand why people are saying what they're saying.
Yes.
And I've become big on that. Initially, it's like, swear this guy or delete or block or whatever it is. So,
Or
but
go
then I
into
realized,
full on typing battle argument with them, and my opinion's more important than your opinion. And
yeah, because we take it personally. So I've
we do.
realized it's not worth taking it personally, but let me learn from this person. Why are they saying what they're saying? So they must be knowing something. Obviously, you do get your proper keyboard warriors that has never been to Africa, but will tell you to feed a lion and these type of things. So,
Oh
but
goodness.
there's a lot of people out there that advocate for wildlife.
Yeah.
In a good way. They might have their ways of saying it, but it's important for us to hear them out and understand why they're saying what they're saying.
Yes.
So in this industry, it's you can get backlash and say, oh, you getting the best shots and your guests are not getting the best shots, but they don't understand what's going on the vehicle.
Mm.
Or at times they do. Maybe it's a guide, maybe it's an ex-guide, maybe it's someone that lived in South Africa that's moved abroad and have certain mindset on certain things. So again, coming back to staying in your lane, understanding what value you can bring to people, not
Yes.
overshooting yourself. We all have to start somewhere.
We do.
I started. I was doing my Fagasa course and with a friend of mine's, and he had a safari company. Amazing guy, successful in the space, and he was kind enough to say, "Hey, listen, we're doing our Fagasa together. I want to start doing photographic safaris in Sawi Sands, Juma at the time. Um, not even thinking like what value I'm going to bring to people. I jumped on it and said yes.
Imagining what
And
photos you can
if,
create for yourself, kind of
you know,
situation.
thinking about myself, obviously in that moment, but once you start hosting and you're on that vehicle, you start realizing that, whoa, you got to stay in your lane. You can't overshoot yourself, because if I don't know what is the difference between spot metering and matrix metering, how do I teach that to someone? So I mean, we all start somewhere, and hopefully those people that I hosted in the start are not listening. But but yeah, the reality is that you throw yourself into the deep end, and that's how you learn.
Yeah,
Not to
very
say
true.
we taught them the wrong thing, but
No.
my knowledge back then wasn't where it was today. But I'm a person, I throw myself into the deep end a lot. But that's
I
how
think it's
you
part,
learn.
yeah, I think it's part of being a creative. I think that's kind of how our brains learn the best, is
Yeah.
like literally that sink or swim situation where we're literally doubting ourselves, going, oh my gosh, what am I doing? What am I doing? And then you do it and you're like, huh, I survived that. Let's go into the next puddle type situation.
Sure. And it
I think,
pushes you to want to, I mean, obviously, I'm sure there's people out there that, really fake it, but there are people that are faking it to make it, which is much
yeah,
better than faking it.
yeah,
And I mean, that's what it is. We are creatives. We want to learn. The ones that want to learn, whether you're learning on YouTube, whether you're going for courses. And funny enough, I did do a photographic course with the College of Digital Photography and Rosebank. Beginners, advanced, film, cell phone, black and white. So whatever courses I could get my hands on, all part time. Obviously, I was full time in the corporate world at that time. So yeah, I mean, you obviously learn, and
mm,
you pick up things from people in the industry, and people that are still friends with you today, and trust your journey, and trust your where you started, because they've seen it, and
yeah,
understand you were, you know, not understanding what the hell you're doing. You never know what's white balance, um, you know, and now much more. Producing photos like what you just showed.
yes,
Um, so it comes with that build up. So yeah, coming back to the question of hosting, you know, I want to say yes, and most guides, maybe many guides won't admit it. It does get frustrating, because you are creative yourself,
yes.
but in that moment, someone has paid you to be there.
And
So
their shots and guiding them on getting those shots is more important than actually getting that shot yourself.
and I'm sure you have the same problem. There's thousands and thousands of photos that we haven't posted, because you want your guests to post first, or you want them to enjoy that moment of, because you were the person behind them getting that type of shot,
Yeah.
guiding them, motivating them, or just, showing them the way. And for me, like initially, yes, I mean, it was about me, I want to get the shot. And then it quickly became, oh, okay, you know what, it's more rewarding seeing someone else post a photo that you were behind it, you were
Yes.
that sort of, you played some sort of role behind it. So a lot of the photos that we post is, on solo trips, family trips, non-hosted trips, site visits, whatever you want to call it. So we're blessed in that way to spend a lot of time in the bush, see some amazing things. We're nowhere near where we want to be, in a sense of like, safari related, whether it's been in East Africa, whether it be polar bears, whether it be tigers in India. So, we still get into that level, and there's a lot of room for us to grow. But
It's all about that growth.
yeah, I think I built my sort of name or my space more in the private game reserves in Sabi Sands, Mala Mala, these type of places. Yeah, I've been blessed to go to these places many times, and yeah, I mean, I never sit back and say, you know what, I'm just going to keep shooting the way I'm shooting. It's always learning,
Yes.
DMing people on Instagram. How did you get? Can you send me the settings? Can you share
Yeah.
your settings? This, why this? How did you get this? What sort of gear? Going for these photographic workshops, or watching videos like this, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I feel that's how I've grown in the space. But yeah, hosting safaris is not an easy thing.
No.
You know, we have a personality. The person next to you have a personality. The guides have a personality, and people come with different, what
Thought
like
processes or like expectations of what they're about to see.
But
No,
that's where when you studying, for those that are Fagasa or get Sita or whatever it is, and you do these courses, you learn in how to guide. Leave the photography aside. So you learn in what to say, what not topics to what topics not to bring up, etc., etc. So how to manage guests. That's part of guiding. So
yes.
obviously, being a qualified guide does help. Understanding people, because that's literally what the whole course is about, is guiding your
Well,
guests. Animal behavior, you have the upper hand of understanding animal behavior before things are going to happen. So it helps you in the photography side of it, from a yawning perspective, the lions are going to start moving, these type of things. So I think from a guiding side, it has its frustrations, but it certainly
has
has
a
more. It has its rewards. I mean, you don't know people until you travel with them. You
yeah.
literally, you are their guide. From the time they email you or WhatsApp you or DM you, right up until the time you drop them at the airport and there's tears flowing and, oh, we're gonna miss you and can't wait to be back. So you're building really good relationships with these people. So,
I
and
think
yeah, it's amazing. It's really, it's really good. Yeah, we're
I
blessed.
think basically, like from this, I wanted to do my Fikasa and I wanted to do my guiding course, and there was a moment where I think when I started teaching photography that I kind of had to kind of like backtrack. Basically, exactly what you were saying in terms of you're with people all of the time, you are with different personalities all of the time, and I kind of had to backtrack and go, wait, I don't like people so much. And especially when it comes to the wildlife aspect, because sometimes people unaware do very stupid things, and I would kind of be like, oh, like react that way. So I kind of had to kind of backtrack and be like, actually, maybe I'm not guide material, maybe I'm not patient enough, maybe I'm not peoply enough. So I definitely get with what you're saying with just like photography gets put on the back. It's about the people, it's about dealing with the people and making sure that they have a good time, because they're the reason that you're there. They are giving you this opportunity to actually be there.
100%.
Okay, so again, thank you guys for joining us. For the people that are still with us, I hope we're not boring you. So far, we do have a question from Dana. What is your dream animal or location you still want to photograph?
Well, that's for me is a killer whale, a orca. For me, that's so. Before I got into wildlife photography, I did my diving course,
That was going to be
and
my next question. Was like on top of the water or actually below the water?
so yeah, that was my first dream, was to become an underwater photographer. So while I was doing my advanced course at Bass Lake, I don't know if you know Bass Lake. I'm
We
sure
are
you know
there
Bass Lake.
a lot. I would
So
happily move. I would literally relocate to like around the corner from Bass Lake at this point. That place is like heaven.
So unfortunately, I passed both my eardrums while doing my So yeah, I can't
I
equalize.
know.
So I couldn't equalize. I went to a dive doctor. It took me weeks, for it to like, recover and so on. And I kept going back to Ellis Park, to the pool there and try and dive. So every week I was like busting my eardrums, and eventually I was like, nah, this is not for me. Let me just shoot animals on land. So yeah, for me that's still a dream. So whether it's underwater or whether it's from a boat or whatever, from a ship. Yeah, I think that expedition would be something high up on my bucket list.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that would be something, as obviously as strange as it might sound, for someone who's shooting leopards and lions, but that's still the ultimate dream.
I wasn't expecting that answer, to be honest,
Yeah.
but I mean that's what makes photography phenomenal, and what makes our jobs and careers phenomenal is it's very difficult to predict where we're going to be in 10 years' time. We can plan a certain path and then basically who we make contact with and who we show up with might take us on a completely different path. So we'll just hope that you end up on an expedition ship photographing killer whales. That would be the hope.
I'm looking forward to that.
So Asma says snow leopards next.
Yep, I think that's high up on her bucket list. Definitely anything leopard related, that's Asma. That's how I got into, actually she's the reason why I got into wildlife photography. So even though I had crazy ideas of doing underwater photography, we met in 2015. She's the wildlife fundi, and I think it's important to mention this,
Absolutely.
is having the right person next to you to allow you to grow.
Yes.
I wasn't into wildlife photography before that. I love the bush. I love nature. I loved everything around nature. Always intrigued by whatever types of clouds or lightning or whatever it is. So yeah, I mean, we met in 2015 very early through a Kruger National Park group, WhatsApp group. Because that's the times we live in. We meet our spouses and better halves on WhatsApp groups. And yeah, I think we met by February or January, and by September we were married. But I'm not going to get into the whole love story, but we share the passion for the bush.
Yes.
She brought it out of me. We honeymooned in Kruger for 3 weeks. So it's great stories to, remember and see where we started. She's been going to Kruger her whole life, her family. So they know Kruger very well. I still don't know Kruger as well as she knows it, funny enough. But yeah, the names of the roads, the names of the lions, the names of the pride, all these types. So I was like flabbergasted because now I'm like, my photography is getting to a better level. I've got this like 150, 600. I'm shooting with a better camera, D70, 100 at the time. And then now learning about, Kruger, the concept of Kruger, the authenticity of Kruger. Just understanding the prides and, from the outside, people that don't go to the Kruger think, you just go in there and driving around aimlessly. But now you're like, oh, there's like a purpose behind this. It's not just going and hoping for the best or putting your head out of the window and breaking the rules. And now you're like, shit, there's rules involved. I didn't even know that. So, so it's all these type of things that you'll start picking up. And that was amazing. That was a journey on its own. And I'm glad that we got to do it together. And, that really sparked a whole big, that's where the wildlife side, wildlife photography, understanding, and not just the photography part of it, it's understanding the concept of it. Understanding, and Kruger is, I mean, you've been to Kruger, it's captivating, as much as we love private game reserves, doing that self-drives, not knowing what, not having the radios, just authentic safari.
It's pure. It's heaven.
So that's where a big part of my journey in the space, and I have to mention that because it's what brought me to where I am today, or brought us as a team, because we work together. We've always worked together. So when we started the business, we travel a lot together, and that's the awesome part, is because now we got 3 kids. 3 girls, and they've adapted to our lifestyle of just jumping in the car and going to Kruger randomly.
I love that.
90% of their holidays or their time away from school or their time away from home is in a park, or trying to get into anything, anything related to animals.
You guys are basically raising eco warriors. You're raising kids that are aware of the bigger picture around them.
Yeah. So it's important because the future of these animals are in the hands of our kids. I'm taking a cool photo of a rhino today. We don't know if they're going to get an opportunity tomorrow to photograph or even see one in the wild. So that's how we look at it from an educational side. We've taken them to the bush from like 6 months and 3 months old, basically from birth. And I'm not a doctor, so don't hold me to this. Not a single malaria tablet or whatever it may be. Again, I'm not
No,
a
their
doctor, so
immunity
it's
is
my
probably going to be their
so
immunity is probably going to be a heck of a lot stronger than the kids that are kind of
yeah.
stuck inside, that are stuck staring at their cell phone all day type situation.
So yeah, it's amazing to see their growth also in the space. You know, my kids can identify birds by sound, by looking at it. Obviously, animals, that's like easy for them. They base their life around animals. So whether it's something they buy in from the store as a teddy bear, it's an animal. If it's a book, it's animals related. It's wildlife. It's conservation. The clothes they wear. You know, so it has that impact on the kids, which is important because we have to protect nature.
Absolutely.
We destroy it, as you know, unfortunately, but we've got to be we've got to be sort of somewhat guardians for it, and I think obviously the kids, well, ourselves first, we've got to sort of set that example. I mean, we're going to falter along the way. We're not perfect, but we've got to set some sort of example to them. And for
Absolutely.
me, in the time that we live in, if you think about it, we went through COVID. Everybody was stuck in the homes. The first places they wanted to go is the nature reserves because
Yes.
weren't on top of people. You wanted to get out in nature. So yeah, I think it's important in the time that we live in is to get out of sort of that technology driven all the time. Even though we, this is what we're discussing,
We were,
technology,
yes,
photography.
we pretty much rely on our technology, and we need our technology to grow our businesses. But by the same token, to not have it
Nature is
is,
very rewarding,
it
very,
is.
very rewarding for kids. What I've seen in my, you know, with my 3 kids. So yeah, I mean, we can go deep into that, but maybe for another time. But yeah, so just to sum it up, you know, Asma is obviously my wife. For people that don't know, she's my better half, and yeah, basically, um, you know, when I met her, I was shooting in JPEG. I didn't know
I
what was
laughed.
Lightroom.
I laughed so
I had
hard when he
no
told me
idea
that.
what
I was
was
like,
Lightroom.
"What?"
I had no idea what was RAW. Um, well, you know, you have an idea, but I mean, you know, that's where it was. So yeah, we grown together and we created a business around it, and it's been an amazing journey. It's really been, and we only can go up from here.
I think that was one of the key factors to why I wanted to speak to you. Firstly was the rhino photo, which, like I said, we're going to get to just now. But secondly was the fact that very often as guides, as photographers, you see individuals going out and shooting, whether it be male, female, but you don't see family entities going out. And I think a lot of the times the industry puts a lot of pressure on a family, whether it be one is always traveling, one is always away from the home. But what I've seen from your photos is the fact that your girl's always with you, your wife is always with you. And I think that makes a very big difference in growing a business and in the future of your business. I think that is what also drew me to, oh, I want to speak to you next to kind of bring that into it. So
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
thank you for sharing that.
no, yeah, it's a valid point, and it's important. And there's a lot of guides. I think I've seen it. Well, I pick it up. There's a few guides that bring their families actively into it. Obviously, when you're hosting guests, and that's a different story. But like December, we were in Khalahadi, 40, 45 degrees with a 1-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old, as
That is
crazy as it
brave.
sounds now. But it was one of the best trips. They learned so much. Swimming in pools that are overlooking a pan that just expands for kilometers. Um, a lion walking through camp, waking them up at 4:30 in the morning, carrying them, putting the baby seat in the car, etc. Have to take a trailer just because of the amount of food I have to take or the snacks I have to take, the iPads and the this and the games and the puzzles and the books. And so that's the fun part of it, but that's how they learn. That's how they
Absolutely.
it's so rewarding because they
No, it's key.
in that moment, they learn in, like my big one, because so before we left, I gave her a Khalahari book, the maps so she pointed at the brown hyena and she's like, I want to see this animal because we haven't seen it in Kruger, obviously, wherever we travel to. So we went on a night drive, where it was just myself and the girls. Well, 2 of them, not the 1-year-old. and Asma decided to stay behind because of the small one. And that was the first night, and we got to see the brown hyena. But we didn't stop for the brown hyena. We stopped for some lizard, or I think it was a scorpion or whatever it was. But in that moment, we're like looking over the vehicle. I'm holding both of them with blankets on top of them. They got their beanies because it's cold at night. They literally hanging over the vehicle and looking down because the guy's spotting there. But then the guide he just saw somebody walking there. He said, "Oh, there's a brown hyena." And then in that moment, they like, blankets went flying. They were like, that was their moment to shine, and they enjoyed. So like for me, that's something that as a parent, it's kind of cool.
It's invaluable.
A brown hyena, so they got to see it on the first night, so they were happy.
No, that is you're setting your kids up to have the life, or to understand and appreciate the life experiences over the stuff, over the money. I mean,
Sure.
I think back to my childhood, and I was very fortunate to have had a dad that was traveling a lot, and we ended up in the Kruger a heck of a lot. And I mean, I remember so much, and so many of our home videos are literally us running around in the Kruger, us on game drives in the Kruger, us seeing animals, and that it teaches you so much more, and it makes you appreciate so much more. So I think that is just beyond phenomenal, absolutely incredible. All right, so we do have a question from Adele. Would you consider online editing course for wildlife or tutorials?
I get this question a lot. It's the same question with the book. When are you releasing the book? This is something funny enough. I am planning this year to start. So Adele, who I've known for a long time, thank you for bringing this up. And I am busy with a new website. I'm busy with a lot of things behind the scenes. So that's one big part of the business that I want to sort of give back, for all the tips and tricks.
I think a lot of people. Yes.
And again, it comes down to the confidence of wanting to do these things for a very long time, but not having the guts to do it because what people are going to say and so on and so forth. So I think, by last year, I said to myself, no, 2026 is the year that I need to start with the, Lightroom or whatever it is, just giving back in some way. Hence why I agreed to this. Any other time, I would have told you crazy. No chance. No chance.
No, Adele,
I'm used to being on this side of the camera.
So. I think most of us are. I think it's a big thing. It's a big factor of suddenly like putting ourselves out there, putting ourselves in front of the camera. I mean, what will we say? And then you end up having these conversations, and it's literally like you're talking to another fellow creative. There's no pressure. You're sharing what you love. You're sharing your passion. Adele, from my side, I will hound him for these courses because I am also very keen to learn what his processes are so I can steal them.
But I know, Meghan, you offer some courses, if I'm not mistaken.
I do. I do. I'm developing more, but I understand.
Have a look at Meghan's website, please.
I definitely understand what you're saying with the confidence thing. I mean, to be honest, every time I put a course out there, I'm like, what am I doing? Do I really know? Because, I mean, I've been shooting for 14 years. 12 of those have been full time, but it still feels like I started yesterday. I'm still like, what the heck am I doing? And then something comes up and I'm like, I have to Google, what is this? What are you referring to type situation? So I think that confidence I think it grows, but I think from what I've experienced, you have to also just shove it aside, literally like both hands shove it aside and go, you know what, I'm just going to do this. And if it backfires, that is fine, but it also could grow into something. I think that is the biggest thing that you have to actually do. And then Ari says, were you ever in a dangerous situation? What was your instinct, to get the shot or to run? Mine would be to get the shot, but that's because my brain doesn't register like danger very well. What is yours?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the first thing that comes to my mind is get the shot. But not just the shot, get the experience to showcase what's the situation. It depends. I mean, I don't think I've been in a really dangerous situation. It's always been controlled or, with professional guides around me. I mean, there are a lot of other people more qualified than me to maybe answer that type of question, or they have more experience out there. But from my side, I've walked in the Kruger where there's lions, where there's leopards, on foot. But having the right people around you, guiding you, obviously know where to draw the line, where to push what boundaries and what boundaries not to push. And but yeah, I mean, the reality is, obviously you gotta respect the situation, the animal, the environment, and these type of things, which sometimes can be very difficult in that moment, because if you are in a dangerous situation, everybody reacts differently. Fight or flight, or run or take the shot, or take a selfie, or whatever it is, everyone is in a different level. So it's difficult to answer the question, because I haven't put myself into a really dangerous situation.
Which also means that you're a responsible guide.
I'd like to hope so, and I'm big on that. Obviously, you look at certain photos and, oh my God, there's a lion in camp, and why is he doing this, and why is that? But obviously behind the scenes, it's like, you're not just disrespecting the space. That lion was there, or that lion came into your environment. There was a guide involved. Now in Khalkhadi, the lion that came into camp, it's like, the situation is where the lion came into the camp. You're not shooting anything in that moment, but then you assess the situation. You ask the guide, right, can I do this? Can't I do this? Let's walk back there with you to shoot a video, so that you can show people that this is what I experienced. Because we are creators at the end of the day, and we want to showcase, wildlife in all of its forms. So, yes, so just assessing the situation and try and stay away from dangerous situations.
But I think
Asma will be able to answer that, I think, better, because we were once in Khalkhadi. I think it was before my course, before my Fagasa and all of that. And she always reminds me, she brought it up now when we were there, like, we were staying in Nossob, I think, and it was at night. We were walking to the hide, or I was outside, shining the light and doing crazy things. And there was this yellow snake that I saw. And I'm chasing after the snake to get the photo. So I got a torch in one hand, I got a camera in the one hand, and I'm running after the snake. And I'm like, Asma, there's this yellow snake, And she's like, I won't repeat the word, but she's like, that's a cobra, that's a Cape cobra, it will kill you, So yeah, there's been stupid times.
No, sometimes as photographers, we don't have the best record with self-preservation.
So we learn from it.
Yes.
We love to tell the tale. Yeah, sorry. I don't know if I answered that question correctly.
No, absolutely. I think you did in a very big way, in terms of also just saying stuff like, the first thing is asking the guide whether it's okay to do stuff like that. Very often we think about the photo, we go, oh, I want to get that photo, but we don't actually think about specifically the consequences that come from taking that photo. So I think that is a very key factor. Just asking the guide, but then also what you said about taking a step back and assessing the situation. I think sometimes our brains think too fast. We think too fast about what we want to shoot, what we want to get from the photo, that again, we don't assess. We don't stop and go, okay, wait, what am I putting at risk here? Is this risk necessary type situation? So I think those are very key factors into kind of, again, proving that you are a responsible guide and responsible photographer. Because that is a big factor that's come into the world now, is responsible photography. So I very much think so.
Responsible guiding, responsible tourism. It's a very important part of it, and it's a good reminder for us as people that are out more in nature than others, that not allow that privilege for us to, overstep the lines.
Yeah. No, I think it's a huge factor. And I mean, from my little time in the Delta last year, it was a very big thing for me, seeing how a lot of the guides reacted, seeing how a lot of the guides it felt very much like they were pushing the animals. They were constantly trying to get their guests closer, constantly trying to get more access, which I do understand why they're doing it, because obviously these guests are paying a fair amount of money to get the shots to see the sightings. But there definitely is that balance that seems to linger, that you're like, okay, is this ethical? So that's a whole different conversation, but I think it's very tricky.
I think everyone comes with their own experience out in the bush. For like myself, for example, I hardly do walks in the Kruger or anywhere, even on, because we mostly take out photographers, for example. Then are people that concentrate on that, so their experience in walking can tell a different story, even though it might be a little bit dangerous to someone else. But it's not dangerous to the person that has more experience, that understands animal behavior on a whole nother level, and
Yes.
understands the environment. Again, coming back to my point of staying in your lane, you're not going to find me doing, unnecessary walks, because I don't have that experience. So I'm staying in my lane on the vehicle, shooting from a
Yeah.
vehicle, underground hide, and these types of things. So when the opportunity arises for us to be on foot on a vehicle or with animals, we will use that opportunity, but to the point of where we know where to draw the line.
Yeah. No, I think that is very, very key. And then we do have a question, which is very funny coming from Nigel, because, and I'll tell you a little bit of a backstory or in terms of why Nigel's also asking this question. I have a massive hatred, and you spoke about it a little bit earlier, with the motor drive on a camera. I have this and we all use it. Whenever I'm out shooting, my camera is on continuous focus, continuous shots, basically. So when I hold the button down, I can go grrr. But we've become too heavily reliant on that. And it is a massive thing for me. I mean, my mom and I were in the Walter Sisulu bird hide a while ago, and she was like, what the heck? Because there was like 6 other photographers there, and you just heard grrr, like, what? So I think that reliance, it is that access, or that option is there. But I think as photographers, we have become too heavily reliant on that, versus watching and seeing, okay, that's the moment that I want to get. So Nigel's asking, do you shoot single shot or motor drive? Because he knows that I hate motor drive. And generally, whenever we're out shooting with Nigel, he will actively be like, just to kind of like push my buttons. But what do you do?
That's a good question. And obviously, the point of the question is important. Obviously, you start off at a certain point of shooting continuous or one shot or whatever it may be. But as you grow in the industry, or as you grow in your niche, you understand, if you're shooting wildlife, if you want to shoot a cheetah that's hunting, you've got to have the right tool. And if you have the right tool, in your hand, you've got to set it up to give you the positive results.
Yes.
If you want one shot, I can almost guarantee you that your chances of getting that cheetah in focus or in action is going to be very slim. Versus where the tool that you have in your hand is very important, and how you use it. So obviously, if we're comparing now DSLR to mirrorless, where now we're in a time of mirrorless where these things are silent, doesn't really make a difference from a noise perspective or from a disturbance or whatever you want to call it, if you're in a bird hide and so on. So the technology has gotten better. So it's how you use the technology when and how at in what time. So if you shoot in a bird, for example, you're sitting in Walter Sisulu, almost up, the sun is about to set, or in that golden hour, and that's the perfect time for kingfishers to come. The behavior of a kingfisher. Boom, hits the water, goes back up, hits the water in the same spot, goes back, finds another spot, hit. So in that moment, you need a continuous shutter speed. You need that faster shutter speed. You need the right settings. So it's so difficult to say, right, I prefer one. But in all honesty, my camera is mostly on continuous high or continuous low. It's very, very seldom that I'm in a one shot, unless there's a situation where I know I need it. But at the same time, saying that, I know how to control my, being a trigger happy person. You can hold it down, but at the same time, you're so comfortable with your gear, you know when to press and how long to keep that shutter down for what you are looking through the viewfinder. You want you want to give yourself the best opportunity to get the best shot. You can always go back and delete those images, but in that carousel of photos or in that group of photos, you've nailed one. But yeah, I hear you from the other side of it, is where you can challenge yourself to try and get the shot within the one shot. It's still possible, that it's not possible.
Yeah.
But again, if you've mastered that technique of doing it, then that's your lane, you know. But I think, yeah, wildlife, you know, it's not always on the move. It's not always fast. You get your, you know, easy, slower animals, you know, not running about. You get situations where these animals are not like, you know, you don't need a fast shutter speed, you know, or a fast sort of,
continuous shooting, basically.
Continuous shooting, yeah.
No, absolutely. I agree with you completely. So it's about kind of judging the situation and going, okay, this is the right time to use that. But you're also not relying on it to make you a better photographer type situation.
Yes.
So I think what I'm actually going to do now, because I mean, we're basically just speaking freely. We're going to ignore the questions and we're actually literally going to look through your photos, because I think, to be honest, that is the most key factor when it comes to what we're chatting about. And the questions will pretty much come into it. Now, this image, oh my soul, like, it is such a unique perspective and it's such a different shot to what normal wildlife photographers will shoot. I mean, generally when you're at a kill, you're shooting like quite wide. You're kind of not really focusing on specific details like this. Run us through sort of your thought process when it came to taking this shot.
Sure. I mean, for all those watching and all the questions, we're still happy to answer the questions once we go through that there. So this was shot on, while on safari in Mashatu in Botswana. Again, I think coming to my creativity, you know, talking about myself here, as weird as it is, but you know, it's that just to try and find something different in that moment. Yes, you take your usual, like you said, and I respect the fact that you as a photographer will say, normally this is shot wide. So in that moment, how can I be different? What can I show my guests that are different? Is different. Watching its behavior, knowing that, you know, the claws are going to come out at a specific time or in a specific movement. Obviously, the impala is not going anywhere. So your focus is understanding, like, what is the tail doing? What is the paw doing? What is the whiskers doing? What is the eyes? Is the light on the eye? Is the light on the rosettes? Is the, you know, repositioning the vehicle so that the light is perfect on certain parts of the leopard? So yeah, it's just assessing the sighting, what's happening around it, what gear the guest got, what gear you got, and how best you can find something unique and different. And yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, you know, you see it once and like, cool, let's see if he's going to do it again. And that's when you're ready with the right settings, your cameras are facing the right direction. Cool, you got the shot. And yeah, slightly cropped or whatever it is, and you're like, this tells the story. You don't need the rest of the leopard. You don't need the rest of the impala. It tells the story on its own.
It's mesmerizing.
There's so much to talk about this, you know. It's everything. It's like almost like beauty. It's scary. It's death. It's so much emotions.
It is.
You feel. I don't know how. It's difficult because people comment on your images saying, "Wow, wonderful," or whatever. Some people feel obliged to comment on your photos because they're fans of yours or whatever, or they've been following you for a while. And it is an amazing photo. But I'd love to know what people, and maybe people can comment here while we're talking about what do they feel when they see this? Because that's my biggest part about photography. I want to feel something.
Yeah.
And when I'm seeing people that I look up to, and when I want to feel that moment, I want to understand why they took out their camera to take that photo, and obviously from a technical side, what type of settings and all from our side. But I want it to have an emotion on us because it's an image. We are visual people. You know, you can have, you know, people can serve you the worst food possible, but if they present it in a way that's so that looks delicious, you're going to look at it. You know, it's the same concept. You know, we visual people, we want to understand what exactly we're looking at, and it must tell a story. I love telling stories. So yeah, it's nice to understand, and I wish more people can tell you what they're feeling when they see an image of yours
When they
versus
see,
wow, because
yeah,
you kind of know it's
yes.
wow, why you're posting it, but like tell us more.
Tell us the emotions that it kind of brings. Absolutely, I think that's key. Now, what Mohammed is saying here, it's a very specific thing. I mean, Dana and I go out and we shoot a lot together, and we will walk away with two different sets of photos of what we've seen through the day. So having that unique perspective or having a unique eye when it comes to situations, and I think we spoke about this yesterday, it's something that is so difficult to teach. It is something that it's not like you'll get to a sighting and you'll have a specific image in your mind sort of immediately formed about what is possible from a sighting. And it's something that I think we spoke about this yesterday, with putting it into words to teach to somebody who's sitting next to you.
Yeah, I think you know, you can tell someone what is shutter speed, what is ISO, what is aperture, whatever. I mean, the technicalities behind the camera, the basics behind the camera, the lens, the you know, the depth of field. Those are, I feel, almost like easy things to teach, but it's so difficult to teach. You know, having that eye for certain things. Like we're looking at the same thing, but why are you not seeing this? You know, create something, not just shoot something.
Yes,
Not every
absolutely.
shot, not every shot of ours is going to be creative. There's a lot of shots that will just be a shot, you know, that
Yes,
anybody can point and shoot, and you're allowed to do that. But you know, in that 100 shots, if you're creative with one, that's the shot that's going to stand out. That's what sets you
absolutely.
apart from the person next to you, or someone that's looking at it, or just it's what sort of gives you your style of photography,
Yeah.
or anything that you creative, any creative, you know, gives you that sort of mark, if I can put it
Yes.
in one word. It gives you that mark, that where you stand out.
Very much so. And with that kind of leads into this picture as well, in terms of perfection, in terms of what photography is like what an image, or what people think is perfect in an image. So just looking at this image, I mean, when I was in Botswana, I took a shot. It was very late at night. We were near an elephant that near a kill, basically. There was lions, there was hyenas, there was chaos. And I took a very, very high ISO, very, very slow shutter speed shot. It is not in focus. The animals are not sharp, blah, blah, blah. But it's one of my favorite images that I've ever taken because of what story it tells. You've got a little bit of the Milky Way. It's such a unique image for me. And I mean, with this image as well, our general wildlife stuff, it's about having the animal clear, sharp, 100%. Like, and then you get this image, which is just, again, that feeling of like, wow. But it's wow because of all the emotions. And you say kind of, what are you feeling? And for me, it's kind of everything. You're being amazed by the lightning and just the power of the lightning, but then you're like, oh my soul, the elephants. It's just, there's so much. So run us through this photo. Run us through sort of your thought process going into this photo. Was it planned, or was it one of those moments which we know happen a lot in photography in terms of almost a level of luck?
Sure, you got me pumped up now on this one. Thanks for that. Yeah, it's amazing to look, like, obviously now that you're showcasing it like this year, it's kind of like a feel proud moment. It's like you look at it a lot differently. Well, I'm looking at it a lot differently, and it's kind of a cool shot, if I can say that myself.
It's a
And
damn cool
trust
shot.
me, I don't say that a lot about my images. Wow, this is bringing so much emotions back. This was in Wangi in Zimbabwe. It's in the middle of literally nowhere, in the middle of a drought. You know, the game drives were just a lot of the time very tedious and very sad because there was just a lot of dead elephants everywhere. The smell, the yeah, just the emotion behind the backstory of this is just insane because um, generally at the time of the year we went, there's supposed to be a lot of water, but there wasn't. You can see from the image, there's absolutely no water. That's a swimming pool of the lodge where that elephant is standing. Look at the condition of that swimming pool, um, and that gets filled by a borehole. But the elephants just didn't give it any opportunity to even fill. If you see that at the bottom there, there's a little spout where the water comes out. They were literally sucking the water as it's coming out from there. So yeah, behind the story behind this image, it's giving me goosebumps. Just looking at it and reminding myself. Um, so yeah, that's the build up. The whole day of safari, going out, um, coming back to this very unique lodge where these elephants spend so much time around the lodge, and normally there's a span where they're enjoying themselves, drinking from the water of the pool, fresh water, etc. But what was happening is that, as you can see in the background, the lightning is very far in the distance, and maybe it's raining so far away. So the elephants start moving and migrating towards there. But by the time they get there, it stopped raining, and then they decide to come back. And then it's like a vicious cycle, and that's how they die along the way because it's not enough water. Um, so, so yeah, I mean, this was at dinner time while we were waiting for our food. I didn't have a tripod because I was trying to travel as light as possible because we had to get into very small planes with very less luggage
Yep.
to get to this place. So, but funny enough, I carried a bean bag, or they had a bean bag on property. I can't even remember. Um, or I could have just made a makeshift bean bag or used something. So yeah, 14 to 24, I think. I'm looking at this and judging. I'm gonna test my technical knowledge here. 1424 D850, probably a 20-second shutter speed, a relatively good ISO, but not too high because there was enough light, as you can see. It's well lit. There was lightning in the distance. So obviously, your mind automatically goes, let's see how I can get this lightning with some sort of elephant, whether it's movement or whether it's, in focus. But obviously at 20 seconds, no elephant is going to stand still for you. And no flash, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, wide angle, slow shutter speed, a makeshift beanbag or whatever I used. I can't even remember at the time. Guests are behind you. They having dinner, and they're like looking at me like I'm crazy. So yeah, lucky enough, this one I wasn't really hosting anyone. I was more being hosted. And yeah, it was a good time to like try and get as technical as I could be, as I could. And yeah, was lucky enough. Obviously, this is one shot,
Yeah.
probably, and obviously set the camera was set on a timer of like maybe 5 seconds, so that when you touch
You're not adding
the
movement.
then you're not getting that camera shake. And obviously, the idea and the purpose was not the elephants; it was the lightning and to tell the story. And out of the batch, I felt this is so cool because you got this elephant movement, you got like a double tusk going on there. You can obviously see the shadow of the elephant, the other elephant in the background. So it tells the story of a very difficult time for these animals, drought, no water in the swimming pool, um, yeah, water in the distance, but so close yet so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the emotion behind an image like this. Yet it's so easy to just see it on Facebook,
Yes.
on Instagram, but the story behind it is a whole different ballgame.
But I think that's also what makes it so beyond incredible. And that's also sort of coming back to why I created this is so often we see these photos and we're like, oh, that's cool. And that's a pretty photo. And that's nice. Or that's a wow photo. But we don't actually take time to learn what it took the photographer to get that shot. What you were saying about not having a tripod. We make plans. We always literally, you will find a way to get the damn photo. but then also just about the story behind the image of what was actually going on. So I mean, that is insane. That is beyond incredible to hear the story behind the photo. Absolutely,
Yeah.
like just wow. Just wow. I'm going to go to our next one. Again, if you guys have absolutely any questions, please feel free to pop them. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm going to go to my favorite photo because just I want to know the story behind this shot, and I want to know if you created it with AI and you obviously edited the bird on it and etc. etc. This shot is just, I mean, you know that I'm a rhino girl. You know that I'm absolutely obsessed with rhinos. So when I first saw the shot, I was like gobsmacked. It is such an emotional image for me. Now, tell us about this shot. Tell us what happened. How did you get this shot? Just, oh my soul.
Whew. Funny enough, I mean, this is my most, I would say, my most famous photo, the one that really went viral. So we were actually we were in Mala Mala, so we were on a private safari, and it was December. It was December, so it was nice and warm. Obviously, you can see the colors behind. It's nice and green. And we got a call in that there's a leopard in the distance, some distance away, and we were probably with another animal. And so the guide said, "Listen, there's a leopard." So I told the guest in the back, and so I was hosting a family here, so it wasn't a photographic safari. I'm just putting this out there. I love hosting families over photographers, even though I'm a photographer. So much
They're
easier.
probably less complicated,
So
probably
much.
way less like needy. You parked the vehicle
Uh,
wrong.
yeah, I love it. And obviously, being a family person myself, I absolutely love it. Anyway, so hosting a family here, South African family, really cool people. And so we were somewhat, because it was a distance, we were like, I won't say safari Ferrari, but we were moving relatively decent. So, and we were trying to get our way to the leopard and making our way there. And along the way, this random rhino just doing its thing, not troubling anybody. So now you caught between, okay, do we stop for the rhino? Do we carry on for the leopard? So you always stop for the rhino. You never
Yeah.
not stop for the rhino. So we stopped. So we thought, what? It's still a distance. Let's stop. Let's enjoy. We're the only vehicle. The rhino is grazing along, doing its thing. And I mean, you won't believe it if I tell you, we probably spent 3 or 4 minutes, not even with this rhino, not even, probably less. But that's what creativity allows you to do. You just need that spark of that second to get the image like this. You don't
Yes.
need a half an hour with an animal to think about something in that moment. So yeah, I mean, the rhino was doing its thing. Obviously, as we know, there's always oxpeckers around these type of animals doing their thing, picking up the ticks, being around wounds. And while I'm, while the guests though are like literally, enjoying it, taking photos, taking videos with their cell phones, and it gave me in that moment an opportunity to say, what, let me take out my camera. Let me see what I can capture. I didn't want to take it out because I knew we're not going to spend enough time with this animal. We just want to enjoy it. It's a rhino.
Yeah.
And that still had its horn. So I mean, in today's day and age, that's very, rare.
Very rare.
Very rare.
Yeah.
So the bird was like hopping around on the back and on the ear and then doing its thing. So it came down on the horn. And what I noticed from what I saw, it probably had a tick at the time, or it had whatever it had on its beak. So it started cleaning its beak across the horn, and I picked it up immediately. And I said, this is kind of cool. I've never seen this before. So I was like contemplating, do I go into video mode? Do I stay in photo? But obviously you're in photo mode, camera in hand, take a couple of, I only have 2 shots of this entire sighting because like I said, we weren't there long enough. So yeah, I mean, I felt like, and I'm still telling the guy, look at the bird, it looks like it's hugging it, in that
Yes.
moment. I said that because that's what I felt in that moment. And at the time I was very active on social media, like posting, come back to camp and post on your stories what we saw in this type, and shooting JPEG and RAW, so the JPEGs can send to your phone. I'm still deleting photos from like 8 years ago. Anyway, so yeah, so when I posted it on the story, because I remember what I said to the guide, when I came back to camp, obviously we went and spent amazing time with the leopard, and that was, I think I sent you one photo of the leopard with the hyena in the water. That's the
Yes.
site that we were going to, and this was along the way. And then coming back to camp, when I posted it, when I put it on the story, unedited, whatever. So the first thing that came to my mind, I put it as, sometimes all you need is a hug. That's what I captioned it. So when I came back home, edited it, and then I captioned it there. And I think because of the caption and the photo, it kind of,
It blew
told
up.
the story. And yeah, I mean, it's a really awesome photo, but there's no like fancy story behind it, or like, some people like, the comments are amazing, because some people are like, the rhino is dead, the bird is dead, and I'm thinking to myself, like, who has the time to like now kill a rhino, open its eye, place it there, kill the bird, place it there. Sometimes we've got to think before we say things.
Yes.
But I still love reading comments like that, because it just makes me chuckle. So anyway, so
Kind of
yeah, that's the story
shows
behind it.
people, shows people's
No animals
brains.
were harmed. No animals were harmed in the creation of this photo. So yeah, that's basically the story behind it.
I think the fact that it's such a simple story actually makes it stand out a heck of a lot more. But again, two kind of factors. First factor, imagine how much regret you would have had if you didn't have your camera in your hand and this happened in front of you. That regret, I think, would live with you for like years.
Well,
so I think,
but the thing is, we wouldn't have known.
no,
There's so
true.
many times where I've been at a rhino or whatever, and we don't take out the camera. There's times where you're at lions, leopards, you don't take out. I'm gonna enjoy and that's important as well. That
Yes.
has its place. That's important to enjoy the moment.
Very much so.
But it was just luck by me just
Yeah.
making a decision there and there that let me just take out the camera, because everyone else is photographing on their phone. Let me take it out. Let's see what I can get out of this. Yeah, and basically this is what we got out of it. So yeah.
And then this is more of a personal question from my side, from what I've experienced. How do you decide which are photo moments, which are video moments? Because obviously you're shooting both at the same time. Yes, I think you can. I haven't tried to take stills from a video, but obviously, we're dealing with quality, etc., etc. How do you make that decision?
I think it's what the animal is doing, what's the situation, where you parked, where the vehicle is parked, what type of vehicle, how many people you got in the vehicle, do you have a good beanbag, what lens you have on your camera. But over time, I've learned to carry two bodies. Maybe, if I'm shooting a prime, if I'm shooting a zoom, I've got a beanbag here, beanbag there, one for photos, one for videos, if that's my intention to get some video as well. So yeah, so that's a good way of looking at it, if that allows you to do that. But if, for example, just say you've got an animal that, like, say elephant that's gone into the water, it's swimming, it's mud wallowing, it's doing its thing, whatever it is, that's a good video moment. And it depends what type of content you want to put out there. Like, if you are shooting for content to go viral or to get views, especially in today's day and age where people are monetized and they're earning from Facebook, they're earning from Meta, video is the thing. So if that's your intention to go out there and shoot for that, then that's what is going to get the views, more than just shooting a still, because it's telling a story a lot better than a still would.
Yeah.
Like this moment, I feel a video would have been great to be proof, not that I need to show any proof, but to be proof that this was a real moment, and I would have shot it in slow-mo, based on what the bird was doing. It would have had a bigger impact. But this tells a deeper meaning, because everyone
Yes.
takes emotion from it and different story from it.
I very much think a video would have been showing sort of the real context of what was happening. But I think this plays with our imagination, plays with, like you said, it's a hug to one of the animals that needs to be the most protected at the moment. And I think the fact that it hasn't been dehorned makes it so much more powerful. So I think, yeah, I think the photo tells a lot more than the video kind of would have. I think it captures your heart a lot more than the video would have.
Correct, yeah. So yeah,
It's
it depends. You got to shoot a video. It's important. I mean, our cell phones can do some incredible video footage, wide angle, zoom into 5 times zoom, 0.5. So the cameras on our phones are incredible.
they are.
The best tool is always the one that you have in your hand. So I think that's also important to mention for upcoming photographers and people that will listen to this, even that are not watching it right now, is don't overthink the gear. We mentioned in the start of this D3100s, etc., etc. You can give me a D3100 now, and I can still do some cool things with it because
Yes.
I'm comfortable understanding my gear.
Yes.
So be comfortable with what you have and what you can afford. You don't have to buy, brand new. There's always second-hand options. There's enough photographers out there to guide you. Most of my gear I love to buy second-hand from other photographers because it's well looked after. All these type of things. So gear, I'd like to talk about that is don't overthink gear. You can create amazing things. Just understand your gear better. Understand the basics. Understand, what that gear is capable of doing at
Yes.
any specific time, whether it's low light, whether it's backlit, whether it's side lit, whether the animal's close, far, video, understand that first before you get the fancy gear, because you can have the fancy gear, don't get me wrong, and it does 90% of the things for you, but it's always nice to understand the concept of what you're doing, because then you can manipulate the equipment to best suit your style, because then you can start playing with it and like really do creative things, based on your knowledge of your camera, of what these cameras are capable of doing.
Very much so. It's actually, so it's something that I teach a lot in my workshops. It's, well, two things. Firstly, the fact that I'm not going to be one of those photographers that tells you to go out and buy new glass. I'm not going to be like, oh, you need to be able to get this shot, you need this glass. I teach that if you have beginner entry level gear or sort of lower gear, you are going to find it challenging. Your camera is going to have limits. Yes, your camera is going to have limits. But that is where then you come in as the photographer, because you then figure out ways to push those limits, ways to be a better photographer. So it's not about relying on better gear, because let's be honest, better gear does make it easier, but it's about relying on your knowledge as a photographer. I think that is something that needs to be highlighted a heck of a lot in our industry, with how quickly gear is progressing and how that gear is progressing, that it's somebody can pick up a brand new, I'm not going to say any camera brands names, but somebody can pick up a brand new mirrorless and take a beyond incredible photo without understanding anything of why or how that photo came to be. So very much think that is like key. Okay, so I'm going to ask you one last question, because we are almost hitting the 2-hour mark and we have dropped a little bit. We had 21 viewers at one point, and now we're sitting on 14. So thank you for staying with us. I hope we haven't bored you to death.
I was actually going to ask how many people left, because I was looking literally almost 2 hours. Well,
I know. It's so difficult to kind of predict and go, okay, this is just going to be an hour. It's just going to be an hour and a half, because it's obviously different with each photographer. It's unique with each photographer. And I also don't want to rush us through. So last, a very important question. Give one piece of advice to somebody who's just starting out in their photographic career, but specifically with wildlife. One piece of advice.
I think I said it earlier on, is stay in your lane. For now, and always, look up to people that are responsible in this industry. It's very important. You're not shooting weddings. You're not dealing with people. You're not dealing with bridezilla. You're dealing with, nature. You're dealing with animals that are God gifted to us, that are amazing to spend time with, that don't particularly understand English, that don't have not on the same wavelength as us.
Yeah.
I always say that they are innocent, they're pure, so we have to respect them.
Yeah.
So when I say stay in your lane, it's not stay in your lane all the time, but start in your lane and progress. And I think educate yourself is very important, and just enjoy it. Be enjoy it in the sense of like it shouldn't be like a competition or trying to prove a point that I'm better than this person or I'm better than the next one, because we see that in the creative space. So
Big time.
don't let that be the mindset from the get-go, and just enjoy it. Enjoy the moment. Whatever photography space that you're getting into, enjoy it. Create your own style, and own it. Own your style. Do the fancy watermarks. Put the big watermarks. Be proud of your photos, and then you grow into it and stick to it. You're gonna get your haters. You're gonna get your fans. You're gonna get people that understand you, and it's so amazing. People. I get comments on my photos of things that I said like almost 10 years ago when I started, and longer, and they remember it to the day, remember it to the word of what I said, and they even remember that, oh yes, isn't Asma is the one that taught you everything. This was like I probably posted it 10 years ago. Um, so you'll create your space, and just
Yes.
enjoy it. I think it's very important, and don't overthink it. Don't overthink it, and spend a lot of time with nature. It's very rewarding.
I think that's key, and always be willing to learn. I think the learning factor, no matter how many years you've been doing this, always look for ways to learn, look for ways to progress. Yeah, Zaheer, thank you so much for coming on tonight. This has been
Pleasure. It was amazing.
absolutely incredible. Again, if you guys have comments or if you guys have questions, please feel free to post them even after the video has been posted. I will check back and Zaheer will check back and we'll kind of comment. I definitely will be having Zaheer and Asma on at another point, because this needs to carry on. My goodness, this is honestly, and I mean the other photos that he sent me are
We need
just
more
out of
details.
this world. Yes.
The people need more
There's-
details.
yes. There is one more question. What qualifications have you completed?
Well, I did my Fagasa, personally. Obviously registered with the correct bodies for doing what I do from a business perspective, tour operating, travel agency, all these type of things. So yeah, I mean, I studied photography, like I said, but all part-time, self-taught. So yeah, I mean, I did a bit of small courses on photography, but I think you learn more while you're out in the field and spending your time with like-minded people that are willing to share knowledge that they've picked up, that through the years, that you don't need to go have like a certificate behind your name, but the concept of photography itself, spend a lot of time with people that are well knowledgeable and are willing to pass over their information.
Yes, I think that is key. Just practice, 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 practice. That cannot be said nearly enough. Pick up your camera, go into your garden. You don't need to be in the Kruger Park, and photograph hardy-dows, photograph pigeons, photograph birds, photograph everything that is around you, which then means that when you're in the situation to be able to photograph the big things, you'll kind of immediately be able to switch over and be like, oh, these settings, this settings, that kind of thing. But practice is key. All right. Zaheer, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you so much for putting up with all of our questions and for sharing your knowledge. I think that for me is a very big factor of just sharing with each other, and there's no gatekeeping here. It's about giving each other, giving information out, sharing information, and inspiring other photographers. So, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I will definitely be having him on again.
Thank you, Megan, and all the best for the rest of the episodes. and I'm looking forward to learning a lot from whoever's next, and obviously throughout and whenever we're ready to do this again. Exciting
Amazing.
times.
Thank you so much. All right, so we're literally sitting on an hour and 56 minutes. Thank you so much for sticking with us. As you can see, that conversation could have gone on for hours, absolutely hours. Zaheer is absolutely incredible in terms of his information and his thought process in terms of photos. It's incredible, and it's inspiring for me to see his perspective on the world. So I'm not going to take much more of your time. I'm just going to announce our next speaker. So the next one, The Art of Photography, will be on the 11th of March. And wrong photo. You see, I'm obsessed with that photo. I'm just going to quickly get the right photo that I am looking for on here. And obviously, I'll get better with this as I do more and more of them. But the next photographer that will be on the 11th of March is Siobhan Brazier. I hope I'm saying her surname properly. So she is from S. Brazier Photography, and she is absolutely an incredible portrait photographer. So that is on the 11th of March. Hope to see you there. I hope you guys have been inspired. I hope you have learned. And like I said, just the key factor with photography, the key factor with pretty much all of these chats is just carry on, go out and shoot, learn from each other. Just pick up your camera and photograph everything. Thank you guys so much for joining again. Have a wonderful rest of the evening.